My beloved brothers and sisters, sometimes in life we feel powerless. We look at the world around us and see people who have strength, influence, power and wealth. We see situations that seem out of our control. We face challenges, heartbreaks, losses, betrayals, and moments of loneliness, and we wonder where our strength will come from. We often believe that strength is in loud words, public displays, or battles that everyone can see. But let me remind you of a powerful truth. The real weapon of a believer is the prayer made in silence. It is a secret weapon that no one can see, but its effect shakes the heavens. When you turn to your Creator in the depth of the night, when you shed tears that no one else knows about, when your heart speaks words that your tongue cannot even express, you are unleashing a force that is far more powerful than you realize. Silent prayers are the cries of the soul. They travel in ways no sound can, and they reach places no one else can access. The beauty of a silent prayer is that it's a conversation between you and the one who already knows what you are going through, yet He loves when you call out to Him. Silent prayers are not limited by language, by distance, by time. Sometimes your lips are sealed, but your heart is screaming to the Almighty, and He hears that cry better than any spoken word. My beloved brothers and sisters, sometimes in life we find ourselves in situations where we feel weak, uncertain, and desperate for change. We look around and we see that so many things are beyond our control. Some people think that power lies in making noise, in being seen, in being heard by the masses. But let me remind you that the greatest power often lies in what is hidden, what is silent, what is known only by you and your Creator. The silent prayers, the du'as that no one hears, the words you whisper in the quiet corners of your life, these are the conversations that shape your destiny in ways you cannot even begin to understand. You see, there is a special connection that is built in those silent moments when your heart speaks but your tongue may not even move. Sometimes your lips are sealed, but your heart is having a dialogue with your Maker that is stronger, deeper and more powerful than any words you could say out loud. It is amazing how silent du'as work. You may be sitting in a crowd, surrounded by people, but your heart is pouring out its requests to the one who hears everything. You may be walking, you may be working, you may even be lying in bed, and yet your heart is actively calling out for forgiveness, for guidance, for solutions. No one can hear you, but the Most Merciful is listening attentively to every beat of your heart. Silent du'as are special because they are pure. They are not meant to show anyone anything. They are not for display. They are not to impress the people around you. They come from the deepest corners of your soul, where sincerity is at its peak. You don't care. Who knows? Because the one who matters already knows. That is where the power lies. Silent du'as are a secret between you and your Creator. It is a bond that no one can break. It is a line of communication that cannot be cut. It is the quiet submission of a heart that trusts completely in the wisdom and mercy of the Almighty. The beauty of these silent prayers is that they shape your life without anyone even knowing what you asked for. Sometimes you may be sitting in a gathering and you just quietly ask, grant me peace, grant me success, guide me to what is right. And that silent prayer, though nobody else hears it, is recorded, is accepted, and is already beginning to bring results that will unfold in your life later. Other times you are standing in prayer, tears flowing, your lips trembling, but no sound comes out. Yet those silent tears carry more weight than the loudest of words. Your Creator knows the language of your tears. He knows the pain of your silence. He knows what your heart wants, even when your tongue is unable to express it. How many times have we cried silently? How many times have we wished for something so desperately, but we were unable to say it out loud? Perhaps we feared what people would think. Perhaps we did not even know how to put it into words, but our hearts were speaking. Never underestimate those moments, because it is often in those moments when your dua is the most sincere. Silent prayers travel faster than anything else because there are no barriers of pride, no walls of ego, no distractions of showing off. It is pure. It is just you and your Creator, and such purity is beloved. Sometimes you find that the life you are living today is the answer to a silent dua you made years ago. You may not even remember the prayer you made, but the answer unfolds before you, and you begin to realize that even the things you forgot were remembered by the one who never forgets. Some doors open for you in life, and you wonder how. Some blessings come and you think you are not worthy. Some hardships are lifted and you question why. But perhaps it was that silent prayer you made in a moment of sincerity, in a moment of complete submission, that has now come to shape the ease you are experiencing. Silent du'as shape your destiny. They build your future quietly, silently, gently. You may not hear the answers immediately, but you will live the answers in the most beautiful ways. When you plant a seed in the ground, you do not see the roots growing. You do not hear the sound of the seed splitting and the plant forming beneath the soil. But one day you see the plant appear. One day the tree bears fruit. Silent du'as are like that. You plant them with faith, you water them with trust, and you wait patiently, knowing that what grows will be worth the wait. Your Creator does not forget the seeds you plant. He does not abandon the prayers you make in silence. Every dua is stored, every wish is recorded, every tear is counted. Even when you think you are being ignored, you are actually being prepared. Sometimes the doors that remain closed are a mercy. Sometimes the delay is protection. Silent du'as are not always answered in the way we imagine, but they are always answered in the way that is best for us. When you ask for something quietly, you may be asking for something that could harm you if it comes too soon. You may be wishing for something that would have been your downfall. The silent dua is answered with the perfect knowledge of the one who knows what is best for you, even when you do not know what is best for yourself. And so, your dua may be answered with a delay, or it may be answered with something else, something better, something more lasting. There are times when you see people going through immense difficulties, yet they remain calm, they remain composed, they keep moving forward, and you wonder how they find the strength to endure. What you do not see is the silent dua they make that gives them the power to continue. You do not see the prayers they whisper when they are alone. You do not see the tears they shed when no one is watching. That is their secret weapon. That is where their strength comes from. Silent du'as give you the ability to face life with patience and dignity, to overcome what others would crumble under, to rise again when life knocks you down. It is remarkable how silent du'as can protect you from what you never even expected. You may have whispered a prayer years ago, asking for protection, asking for ease, asking for safety. You may have forgotten that moment, but that dua is still active. It may have shielded you from an accident, from a loss, from a difficulty you did not even know was coming. Your silent dua can be the reason you were saved from harm, the reason you passed an exam you thought you would fail, the reason you found an opportunity that you never even looked for. It may seem small to you, but in the record of your life it holds immense weight. There is a beautiful wisdom in how silent du'as work. They build a resilience inside you. They teach you that you do not always need to explain yourself to people. You do not always need to defend your dreams, your struggles, your efforts. Sometimes you just quietly ask your Creator and you trust that He will handle it for you. This teaches humility. It teaches patience, it teaches trust, it teaches that your solutions come from the heavens, not from the loud approvals of people. When you realize the power of silent dua, you begin to make it a habit. It becomes part of your daily life. As you walk, you make dua. As you sit, you make dua. Before you speak, you make dua. Before you act, you make dua. And you do it quietly, sincerely, purely. You do it knowing that you are speaking to the one who can do anything. This constant silent communication brings a sense of peace that words cannot describe. You no longer feel the need to rush to people with every problem, because you know you have already spoken to the one who holds the solution. The beauty of silent prayers is that they are also free from judgment. People may not understand your requests, people may mock your dreams, people may discourage you, but your Creator knows your heart. He knows why you are asking. He knows your intentions. He knows your sincerity. There is no misunderstanding in silent dua. There is no misinterpretation. It is between you and the Most Merciful, and He understands even what you cannot say properly. My beloved brothers and sisters, sometimes the most powerful prayers come when words fail you completely. When you are so overwhelmed that you simply sit in silence, tears flowing, heart trembling, mind racing, and yet no words leave your lips. In those moments, your Creator understands what you are asking. He knows the language of your silence. He knows the language of your pain. He knows the language of your tears. That is when the silent dua speaks louder than any spoken words. That is when the connection is the strongest. That is when the prayer is the purest. The most powerful moments are often the quietest ones. when you stand in prayer in the middle of the night, when you sit in reflection after a long day, when you pause in the middle of a task to call out silently. These are the moments that build your life in ways you may never fully comprehend. Silent prayers are not less than loud prayers. In fact, they can be even more powerful because they come from the depth of the soul. They are often filled with such sincerity that they travel swiftly to the heavens. There are moments when you find yourself in situations where you cannot openly pray. Perhaps you are in a meeting or among people who would not understand, but you can still pray in your heart. You can still whisper silently. You can still turn to your Creator without saying a word, and He will hear you. That is the beauty of this connection. It is never cut. It is never interrupted. You can always call, and He is always listening. When you build a habit of making silent du'as, you develop a beautiful resilience. You learn to rely less on people and more on the one who can truly change your life. You begin to realize that not every battle needs to be fought with words. Some battles are won with silent prayers. Some hearts are changed with silent du'as. Some doors open with quiet tears shed in sincere supplication. Silent prayers teach you patience, they teach you trust, and they teach you the art of handing your affairs over to the one who can handle them best. Even in moments of joy, remember to make silent du'as. When you succeed, when you achieve, when you find peace, quietly thank your Creator. Quietly ask for continued blessings. Quietly ask for protection from arrogance and ingratitude. Silent du'as are not only for times of hardship, they are also for times of ease. They keep your heart connected. They remind you that everything you have comes from the same one you called upon in your silent moments of desperation. My beloved brothers and sisters, as we journey through life, we often get caught up in the noise of the world. We find ourselves surrounded by sounds, distractions, expectations, and sometimes even pressure to present ourselves in a certain way. Yet the moments that are most transformative, the moments that are most powerful often happen in silence, far away from the gaze of others. It is in those quiet times, particularly in the depth of the night, where you find your greatest source of strength through the du'as you make in silence. The quiet prayer you utter when no one else can hear becomes the shield that protects you, the rope that pulls you out of difficulty, and the foundation that keeps you grounded in a world that can be so turbulent. There is something incredibly special about calling upon your Creator when the world is asleep. In those peaceful hours when everyone else is resting and all the noise has faded, your silent prayer carries a weight and sincerity that is unmatched. It is not forced, it is not rushed. It is not for the sake of being seen or heard by people. It is a pure moment of honesty between you and the one who knows you best. You may find yourself sitting on your prayer mat, unable to fully articulate what you need, but your heart is speaking. Your silent dua becomes the weapon that fights battles you cannot fight on your own. It becomes the key that opens doors you cannot even reach. It becomes the light that shines in places where you thought you would only see darkness. The more you build your silent du'as, the more you develop a resilience that others cannot understand. You will walk through storms, you will face challenges, you will experience losses, but somehow you will still stand firm. People may look at you and wonder how you manage to keep going, but you know deep inside that it is the power of those silent prayers made in the stillness of the night that gives you that strength. Those prayers are not just requests, they are lifelines. They are conversations filled with love, trust, and humility. They shape your heart, they shape your mindset, and they shape your life in ways you may only understand later. There is something profoundly beautiful about having that personal, silent connection. You do not need to explain yourself to anyone. You do not need to justify your emotions. You do not need to present your case to the world. You simply turn to your Creator and you speak from your heart. Even when your tongue is still, even when no words form, the silent dua travels faster than any sound. It penetrates barriers, it ascends to the heavens, and it is met with mercy and wisdom far beyond your comprehension. You begin to understand that building strength is not about raising your voice, it is about raising your dua in sincerity. You realize that true power comes from the ability to silently hand over your affairs to the one who can solve them for you. The depth of the night becomes your safest place. You find comfort in those quiet hours, knowing that no one is watching, no one is judging, and no one can interrupt your connection You may whisper your fears, your hopes, your struggles and your gratitude. You may not hear an answer immediately, but you feel a peace settling in your heart. That peace itself is a response. That calmness is a sign that your silent dua has been heard and your burden is no longer yours alone to carry. When you make dua in silence, you are not limited by eloquence or the perfect choice of words. You do not need to know complicated phrases. You do not need to say everything correctly. What matters is the purity of your heart and the sincerity of your plea. Sometimes you may not even know exactly what you are asking for, but your Creator knows. He understands your silence better than anyone can understand your words. He knows the weight of the tears that fall without sound. He knows the depth of the sighs that escape your chest. He knows the language of your brokenness. There is a quiet power in simply trusting, in believing that your silent dua is already working, already moving things in your favor, even when you cannot see the results yet. Sometimes the answers are delayed because they are being perfected for you. Sometimes you are being protected from what you thought you needed. Sometimes you are being guided towards something far better than you could have imagined. But through all of it, your silent dua remains your strongest weapon, your most loyal companion, your quiet strength. My beloved brothers and sisters, you will face moments when the world seems too heavy, when the people around you may not understand what you are going through. In those moments, retreat to your silent prayers. Find refuge in those private conversations. When you are walking, when you are working, when you are sitting among people, continue to make silent du'as. They do not require a special place or a particular time. Your Creator is always near, always listening, always ready to respond. Silent prayers do not need to be announced. They do not need to be scheduled. They can happen in your heart. They can happen while tears fall. They can happen in the moments between breaths. When you rely on silent du'as, you develop a beautiful reliance on the unseen. You begin to recognize that success, protection, healing and guidance all come from the one you silently call upon. You no longer fear the opinions of people as much because you are focused on the acceptance of your Creator. You no longer feel the need to prove yourself to the world because you know that the one who matters most already knows your heart. Silent du'as build you quietly, strengthen you silently and prepare you for what is written for you. When you make silent du'as, you also build patience. You begin to appreciate the process of life. You understand that not everything happens immediately and that sometimes the waiting is a mercy. It is in the waiting that you grow. It is in the waiting that you develop resilience. It is in the waiting that your heart learns to trust fully. Silent du'as teach you that the unseen is more powerful than the seen. They remind you that your efforts, your prayers and your sincerity are never wasted. The unseen results of hidden prayers are among the most beautiful gifts in life. You may not know how many times your silent dua saved you from harm. You may not realize how many times your silent dua brought you closer to an opportunity that you never even imagined. There are moments when you are about to make a decision and somehow your heart is turned away from the wrong path. There are times when you feel drawn to something good without understanding why. Perhaps it was the result of a silent prayer you made long ago, or perhaps it was a prayer someone else made for you. Silent du'as travel in ways you cannot see, and their results unfold in ways you cannot predict. The silent prayers you make today may be shaping your tomorrow. The silent tears you shed may be watering the seeds of future blessings. The silent hopes you hold on to may be paving the way for ease that is yet to come. Even if you forget the prayers you made, they are not forgotten by the one who heard them. They are not lost, they are not dismissed. They are carefully stored, perfectly timed, and lovingly answered when the time is right. There is such comfort in knowing that your silent prayers are safe. They are not open to the misinterpretation of others. They are not subject to the limitations of this world. They are direct, personal and cherished. You do not need to worry about who supports you and who does not, because your silent du'as are supported by the most merciful. You do not need to announce your plans or defend your dreams, because your silent du'as have already been submitted to the one who can make them a reality. Even when you pray for others in silence, the impact is tremendous. When you quietly ask for the well-being of someone, when you make dua for the ease and success of another person without them even knowing, you are building a bond that is pure, a connection that is blessed. You are planting seeds of mercy and kindness that will return to you in beautiful ways. Silent prayers for others are among the most selfless acts you can offer, and they carry immense reward. Sometimes you may not see immediate changes, but do not let that discourage you. Silent du'as are not transactions with instant results. They are acts of worship, acts of trust, acts of hope. Even if the answer comes in a different form or at a different time or in the next life, it is still a valuable prayer. It still matters. It is still building you, shaping you, and protecting you in ways you may never fully understand. My beloved brothers and sisters, the more you practice making silent du'as, the more you will find peace in your daily life. You will feel less anxious about the future because you have already submitted your concerns to the one who controls the future. You will feel less burdened by the opinions of people because you have already turned your heart to the one whose opinion truly matters. You will walk with more gratitude, more humility, and more trust because you know that you are never alone. Even when the outcome is not what you expected, even when you face hardships, your silent du'as will give you the strength to endure. They will remind you that your efforts were not in vain. They will remind you that your journey is being guided even when the path seems unclear. They will remind you that your life is being shaped by a wisdom far greater than your own. When you make silent du'as, you are participating in a beautiful cycle of trust, effort, and acceptance. You ask, you strive, and you surrender the outcome to your Creator. You live with the calm assurance that whatever is meant for you will reach you, and whatever is not meant for you will pass you by. You live with the confidence that your silent prayers are never ignored, never forgotten, never wasted. You find joy in knowing that every quiet moment you spend in dua is recorded. Every silent tear, every whispered request, every heartfelt plea is known, valued, and cherished. You are building a life of connection, a life of purpose, a life of trust. Silent du'as are not just words, they are the foundation upon which your life stands. They are the invisible pillars that hold you up when you feel like falling. They are the gentle reminders that you are always heard, always seen, and always cared for. In this journey of life, there are countless conversations happening every day. People talk, people express, people complain, people advise, but among all these voices, the most powerful conversation is the one that no one else hears. It is the conversation between you and your Creator, the silent dialogue that takes place deep within your heart. There are moments when you sit quietly and you do not need to open your mouth because your heart is already speaking volumes. Those are the moments that shape your life more than any public words you could ever speak. The most powerful conversations are not always the ones that echo across rooms or are written in books. They are the ones that happen silently between a servant and the most merciful. Those moments define who you are, they give you strength, they bring you comfort, and they direct your path in ways you may not immediately see. Sometimes you find yourself in a position where you cannot express what you are going through. You look around and feel that there is no one who will understand you, no one who can help you carry the burden you are facing. But in those moments you realize that you do not need to explain yourself to anyone because the one who already knows what is in your heart is listening. When you quietly raise your concerns, when you silently share your fears, when you gently ask for strength, you are participating in one of the most beautiful forms of worship. It is not about how loudly you speak, it is about how sincerely you ask. The quiet prayer made in the depths of your heart is sometimes far more powerful than the loudest plea made in front of thousands. There are times when you are walking down the road and no one knows that your heart is actively calling out to the Most Kind. You may be sitting among people and yet your heart is in a completely different conversation. You may be engaged in daily tasks and yet your heart is whispering for guidance, for peace, for blessings. The power of those silent conversations is beyond our understanding. They are conversations that are not limited by language, not bound by time, and not dependent on location. They can happen anywhere at any time and they are always heard. Even when you cannot find the words, even when your pain leaves you speechless, your Creator understands the language of your silence. Even when your lips do not move, even when you simply sigh, even when your tears flow without sound, your silent conversation is fully heard, fully known, and fully understood. Sometimes you are saved from difficulties you never knew were approaching simply because of a silent conversation you had long before. Perhaps you quietly asked for protection and that dua was accepted and you were diverted away from harm without even realizing it. Perhaps you asked for ease in a way no one else knew, and your life was shaped with small blessings that you may have overlooked, but that were placed there just for you. Silent conversations have a way of traveling through time. They continue to protect you, to guide you, to open doors for you long after you have moved on from the moment you made that dua. The world may never know what you prayed for, but your life is living proof of the power of those quiet conversations. When you develop the habit of silently speaking to your Creator throughout your day, you build a life of peace and resilience. You no longer rely solely on people to help you, because you know that your most powerful support comes from the one you quietly call upon. You do not need to fight every battle loudly, because you know that some battles are won with silent prayers. You no longer worry about the opinions of the world as much, because you are focused on the response of the one who matters most. Your heart begins to find peace in knowing that you are constantly connected, that you are constantly heard, and that you are constantly supported. There are times when you may not have the opportunity to make loud du'as, and you may not have the space to openly express what you need. But even in those moments, your silent du'a travels swiftly to the heavens. Your quiet conversations become a source of comfort and strength, especially when you are surrounded by challenges. You can quietly ask for patience, you can silently ask for guidance, you can inwardly seek help, and all of these are fully received, fully valued, and fully responded to in the most perfect ways. It is amazing how life can be filled with noise, yet your heart can remain calm because you have built the habit of silent conversations. You are not easily shaken by the chaos around you, because you know that you have already placed your trust in the one who controls everything. You continue to walk with confidence because you know that your silent du'as are actively shaping your journey. You feel a deep sense of peace because you are constantly in a state of communication with your Creator, even when the world around you seems busy and distracted. You may not always see immediate results from your silent du'as, but that should never make you lose hope. Sometimes your silent conversations are meant to develop your patience, your faith, your resilience. They are a way of teaching you that your efforts are valued, your sincerity is recorded, and your trust is rewarded in ways that are sometimes delayed, sometimes redirected, and sometimes granted in ways far better than you had imagined. Silent conversations are not forgotten, they are not wasted, and they are never dismissed. Even if you forget what you asked for, your Creator never forgets. You may experience moments when you feel like you are walking alone, but you are not. Your silent conversations are your companions. They walk with you, they strengthen you, and they lead you towards peace. When you are silent in the middle of a crowd, your heart may still be actively speaking to the most merciful. When you are sitting in traffic, when you are preparing for an exam, when you are facing a difficult decision, your silent conversations can be your most powerful source of comfort. You quietly ask for help, you silently seek wisdom, you humbly request protection, and those requests are instantly heard. Sometimes you are protected from harm in ways you will never know. You may pass by a difficulty without realizing that you were saved from it because of a dua you made long ago. You may experience a change in your heart, a calmness in your soul, a new opportunity that you did not expect, and all of this could be the result of a silent conversation you once had. Silent du'as can travel through time, shaping your life in the most beautiful ways. They can be answered instantly, they can be answered gradually, or they can be answered in the hereafter in ways that will bring you unimaginable joy. When you pray for protection, for ease, for guidance, even if no one else knows, even if you do not say it aloud, you are building layers of mercy and blessings around you. Your silent du'as become the quiet guardians of your journey. They shield you from harm, they soften your heart, they guide your steps, and they bring you closer to the path that leads to peace. Even when you forget what you prayed for, your silent du'as continue to shape your life in the most loving and careful ways. When you pray silently for others, you build a connection of kindness and sincerity that brings immense rewards. When you quietly ask for ease for someone else, when you silently hope for someone else's success, when you make dua for another person's happiness without them even knowing, you are participating in one of the most beautiful forms of compassion. Those silent prayers not only benefit the one you are praying for, but they also bring peace and blessings into your own life. You build a habit of selflessness, of thinking beyond yourself, of connecting with others through mercy and love, and that habit brings you closer to the most beautiful rewards. Silent du'as teach you that true strength is not in loud declarations but in quiet trust. True strength is not always shown in public speeches but in private supplications. True strength is not always about visible actions but about the invisible moments of turning your heart to the one who can change everything for you.